Welcome to today's show. Creepy, sloppy Brandon Joe Biden is doing exactly what he's supposed to be doing. And then, of course, the liberal side has this obsession, and of course, the politicians, are the ones who are baiting everybody into this stuff with them wanting to control your kids, groom your kids, and have say in what your kids learn over what the parents, think that they should learn. This is a left-right thing that they've obviously been working on. The sick part is that the people who are on the left actually believe this stuff and want this stuff and want to teach your kids this type of filth. And they actually believe what I'm about to show you and play for you from right out of the horse's rear end, aka the mouth of Joe, about how the children in school are really the teacher's children. And they're all our children. A lot of trigger terms in here that are going to make parents go nuts. And one of the things before I show you this clip that people need to realize, what they're doing right now with the schools is also being done on purpose. Everything's being done on purpose. Don't think that they aren't thinking 10 steps ahead. It's their game. There's an end goal that they want. Homeschooling is a thing that we all have talked about in the past. They get your kids out of the institutions because they're teaching them lies. They're indoctrinating with lies. There's no God in the schools. All of us have been saying it for a long time. Now you're seeing people actually pulling their kids out, but they want that. Because eventually everything is going to be virtual and digital, and they'll have more control over children that way than they would in a school and in a classroom. So by doing this right now, they're getting parents to pull their kids out and eventually bring them into virtual. They'll have some type of regulated school that they have to go through. They'll be like, okay, well, the parents pull their kids out, but, we need to have something that's protective of these kids from crazy, blah, blah, blah. And there'll be a program, which I've shown you with the metaverse, of how they want to educate your children. And they'll have actually more control, especially mind control over your children when that happens. And that's what this is leading towards. They don't expect anybody to be on board with parents actually allowing teachers to teach their kids about transvestites. They don't want that. People don't want that, but they don't expect anybody to be on board with it. Okay? They don't expect anybody to be on it. They want people to pull their kids out of school. So comments like this are exactly part of the narrative. Listen to Creepy Joe about how your children are his children.
Look, we always talk about these children. They're not someone else's children. They're our children. And they are the kite strings that literally lift our national ambitions aloft. They're all our children. And the reason you're the teachers of the year is because you recognize that. They're not somebody else's children. They're like yours when they're in the classroom.
The scary part is that there are people who actually feel this way, which is sick. We've heard in the past, you might not remember, an MSNBC anchor talking about this as well, as children are part of a community. They're not part of, a parent's, they're not property of the parents. They're property of the community.
We haven't had a very collective notion of these are our children. So part of it is we have to break through our kind of private idea that kids belong to their parents or kids belong to their families, and recognize that kids belong to whole communities. Once it's everybody's responsibility and not just the households, then we start making better investment.
This is all liberal insanity type talk, but this is obviously being strategically done. This is for civil unrest. This is for left-right, and this is also to eventually get children pulled from schools. They want online teaching. Everything's going to be online. Everything. Okay, everyone's like, well, with the one-niner, we all got to work from home. I've always wanted to work from home, and I don't have to go into an office. They want everybody in there. Your home is your cell. They want everybody in there, and the children, if they get them into a metaverse teaching style thing, virtual reality teaching world, that is the goal. One, they'll be more indoctrinated, more dependent on technology, which is exactly what they want. And two, it'll give them more control over the children's lives, 100% control over their lives. Whereas in a school, the government is relying on these independently indoctrinated teachers, no offense to anyone who's a teacher, but, to teach a curriculum that they tell you to teach, right? So the teacher's going to go and they're going to teach that. But there's good teachers. There's people, teachers who are good people, obviously. We've all gone through schooling. We've had really good, nice people as teachers. And of course, we've had some horrible people as teachers. And that's what you go through in life. There's good people, there's bad people in lots of different positions. Doctors, plumbers, you name it, right? But they can't control the actual teachers other than the curriculum that they teach. They can't control any of this other crap that they want to control. So by having everything digitally, they'll be able to do that. But let's just look at the bigger thing here with this whole Biden saying that students are like teachers' children when they're in the classroom, because this has gotten everybody in an uproar, and it should. This is the government telling you that the children are your property as well, which is what they truly believe. And this is what socialism is and fascism is. This is what they're trying to push, where they actually, the whole you'll own nothing and be happy isn't because you're not going to have anything. It's because they want you to share everything. That's what these liberal people want, because they can't work, they don't do anything, they like to be lazy, and it's true. It is true. It is a character trait of these people. And they want everybody to share. You won't have property, you have to share everything you got, because, that's what they want. That's what socialism is. So your children would even fall into that. Share your car, share your food, share everything, be able to walk in and out of people's home. I mean, that's really what they want. So they look at your children as everyone's property. The children belong to everyone just because they came out of your, and trust me, it's going to continue to get crazier with how they view children and how they're going to push it in the media. It's going to get crazier because they are going to push this more that, just because you can have kids and someone else can't, doesn't mean that it's your kid. And they'll go, you don't think they can get crazier, these people? They're going to get crazier because the satanic mindset of the occult is what's coming out into the open. So they're going to push that, everybody's kids or your kids is everybody's property, and everybody in the community should have a say in how the kids raise, because the parents might be extremists, or the parents might be, they might be Christian and forcing it on their kids. That is exactly what they want to do. The government has always wanted control of the kids. It's just more obvious now. Okay, when we all went to school many years ago, or some of you are in school, so I shouldn't say that, but I'll say when I went to school, or let's say even before, let's say the 50s and 60s, schooling was still a massive indoctrination. The way it is now, it's every single thing in the school system is nothing but lies and pointlessness. So you go through the school system, you learn things that will not get you anywhere in life, really, for the most part, because common sense gets you places in life. Being able to think and figure things out on your own. And, the things they don't want you to do, like critically think, they don't want you to do that, right? But the government's always wanted control of the kids. They've taken God out of the schools, and then they want control of the children, because that's pretty much what school is. You send them there, and they get them for 6-7 hours, right? Everybody would agree that it's way too long, that really nothing goes on, but parents are like, well, I'm at work all day, so, and I went to school for that long. That's because they want to indoctrinate you, because they know your children's brains are like sponges. So when they're absorbing the world, they want them to absorb a world of lies. So they teach them about the moon landing, and they teach them about fake history that's actually occurred, and they beat it into their heads. It's like they beat it into ours, and it makes it almost impossible to pull them out of it. So that's why they want kids so much, because they don't want parents to raise them outside of their system. So eventually they want the system to be online there. They still have full control, but they do not want people like me and you raising children where we're teaching them about God, and we're teaching them the actual truth of the world, about who these people are and what they're doing, because then they start to lose a grip on it. And they can never lose a grip, of course, because they're control freaks, and we all know that they want to literally be able to control and see what our thoughts are, because Satan is sick and pathetic, just like these people are, and that's what they want to do. So people are in an uproar over this. Biden told teachers that when in class, children are like yours and not anyone else's. The president's remarks came during a Teacher of the Year event at the White House. They're not someone else's children. They're our children, and they are the kite strings that literally lift our national ambitions aloft. I mean, and this guy's not kidding when he talks about, he really probably does think that your kids are his kids, because he tries to pretty much, we've seen this guy with some of the kids at the White House. You have heard me say it many times about our children, but it's true. They are all our children, and the reason you are the Teachers of the Year is because you recognize that. They're not somebody else's children. They're like yours when they're in the classroom. So they want the individual teacher to teach them, the same, not just, the curriculum, but to their lifestyle onto the children. And that's why they hire more and more teachers who are coming out of this, LGBTQ thing community, and they want them in the classroom because they want them to then push their ideologies onto the children. It's pretty simple to see, but they don't have full control over all the teachers who get hired. So they are going to end up, there's people on my channel here who come and they say, hey, I'm a teacher. And that would mean that they're likely a Christian if they listen to my channel and a good person. So they say, hey, it's not all of us, but we know that it's an indoctrination of lies. They've woken up after the fact, or maybe they were awake the whole time. And they don't want people like that in the school because they don't want good, wholesome values being passed on to kids. They certainly don't want anyone mentioning God, but unfortunately teachers don't mention God because they're not allowed to. They would lose their job in 3 seconds. There's a better chance you get fired if you mention Jesus in a classroom than actually, getting in bed with a student. Okay? That's how sick and twisted this world is, but the Bible has told us that this is the world that we would be living in. So this is Creepy Joe coming out, talking about this stuff. And like I showed you the other clip, this is a mindset of the liberal people that the children belong to everyone. And they're going to push this more and more because they're going to push more and more stories about abusive parents. And they're going to say they're abusive because they didn't let their kid pick their gender. They're abusive because they didn't, they raised their kid Christian. They didn't let the kid pick for themselves. All this kind of crap it's just the beginning right now. It's not going anywhere. People are like, oh, it's going to stop because we're going to take our... No, it's not going to stop, unfortunately. It's not going to stop till the trumpets sound. And it's going to get crazier. Just watch in the next couple of years, because I think back and I have a keen memory of 3 years ago, 4 years ago, 5 years ago, 6 years ago, over and over, when I started on YouTube, the topics I was talking about with this specific community, which community, and the stuff we could say versus what we can't say, and the stuff they were starting to do then, which we were like, whoa, this is ridiculous. Now it's gotten to the point where it's like, it's so sick that it's amazing that people aren't, that people aren't getting in prison for the things that they want to do to other people's children in school, because it's just disgusting and despicable, especially with the bathrooms and all this other crap that happened a couple years ago. Now we're at the point where you can expect them to literally, go further with this agenda, and they're going to continue to push it. But just don't fall into the trap, though. You have to be careful, because a lot of people are pulling their kids out of schools and saying, oh, we're going to homeschool them. Don't fall into the whole way they want you, the curriculum they want you to raise them at home, because they want that. You raise them the way you want to raise them. You teach them the way you want to teach them. You learn a lot more at home than you would at school, because you can learn, depending on your parents, of course, but you could learn important things, how to start fires, how to live off their, they don't even teach you how to pay your taxes in school or any of this other stuff. They leave people completely like, how to do a resume. Do they teach that in school? Stuff that people you have to figure out once you leave school. You're like, wait, what? Why were we learning about rock formations and evolution? Oh, right, because they want to indoctrinate you, not actually help you. So this is Creepy Joe. No surprise, of course. These people get sicker and creepier by the day, and the target has always been the children. The Bible talks about this, about millstones going around the necks of people who harm hair on the children's heads. Well, these people want to do more than harm a hair on the children's heads. They want to do lots of things with children. They already do lots of things with children. We know about the Bible talking about sacrifices to Baal of children. And of course, they want to completely brainwash them, take them away from their parents, and raise them with this satanic doctrine, which is pretty much what it is. It's an Aleister Crowley do without will mindset, which is what you're seeing right now. Do without will be the whole of the law under love, right? I've been talking about that forever. I remember when I first started my channel, people were like, Carl, you don't seem to understand. Jesus is love. I didn't say Jesus wasn't love. Don't deceive or be deceived by the word love and the word tolerance. They're two different things. You can't by tolerating everything, it doesn't mean it's love. It means you're weak and you're accepting and non-confrontational of disgusting, perverse mindsets and ideologies.